Alright, so I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be going over a 10-minute rapid game that I played on chess.com not too long ago, and this was against a 1982, and I thought this was a very interesting game, and there were three brilliant moves towards the end of the game to finish it off nicely. So let's take a look at it. So start with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to c4. So this is the Italian game, one of the oldest openings in all of chess. So you put the bishop on an active square, targeting black's weakest point, the pawn on f7, and white looks to castle. So bishop to c5, castle, knight f6, d3, just reinforcing e4, very solid approach, d6, and I go a4. So I'm just looking to gain space on the queen side. He goes h6, so I gain space with pawn to a5. He goes pawn to a6 to give his bishop a square, because I'm looking to play c3 and b4, and he doesn't want his bishop to be trapped out here. So I go c3 here. He goes b5. So this is the first move that's a little bit atypical. You don't typically see this in the Italian game, I would say. So I play a takes b6 en passant capture. So note this pawn has jumped 2 squares, allowing me the possibility to en passant capture. And if you don't know what en passant is, just look it up. It's a special move in chess where after the pawn moves up 2 squares, it can be captured diagonally like this, but you only have one move to do so. So I play a takes b6, he plays bishop takes b6, and I go h3. So this is a very useful move since black wants to develop his bishop to g4 and pin my knight, so I stop that. So he castles, and I go bishop to e3, offering a trade of bishops. He takes, and then he goes a5. So he's looking to bring his bishop out to a6, maybe look for a trade of bishops, since my bishop is better than his. And I simply play knight b to d2. So he goes bishop to b7 here. So, I thought maybe he would be looking to trade bishops here, but he puts it on b7, hoping that this diagonal has brighter days ahead of it. So I go queen to e1. And while the engine calls this an inaccuracy, I like this move a lot, because while you're temporarily defending your weakest point on e3, you're really looking to bring the queen out to the king side and start some sort of attack here. Using knight and the semi-open f-file for your rook, white has attacking chances here. So black plays bishop to a6 here, realizing that he might have gone wrong putting the bishop on b7 initially, and I simply play queen to g3. And while the engine doesn't love this a lot, I think there's a lot of opportunities for white here, and I think it's very hard for, or it's very easy for black to go wrong here. So after king to h7, which is a slight inaccuracy but not too bad, I go knight to h4. So I'm looking to bring this knight to f5, and I'm also influencing this g6 square. So he plays pawn to g6 here, trying to keep my knight out of f5 here. However, I have a very nice tactic here. He should probably play bishop takes c4, and after knight takes c4, maybe play pawn to a4 and gain some space, but really look to trade a couple pieces here. And unfortunately, after g6, I immediately take advantage of this mistake with bishop takes f7. So the idea behind this move is pretty straightforward. So I'm taking out this f7 pawn, which is defending g6. So I'm completely stripping g6 of its defense. So now I'm looking to play queen takes g6 on the next move. So my opponent plays g5, and then I go bishop to g6 check. And then if something like king to g7 were to be played here, I would most likely look to play knight d to f3, and after something defensive like knight to d7, I could look to play bishop to f5 and really just increase the pressure on my opponent there, but that would have provided the most resistance. And unfortunately in the game he chooses an inferior square for his king here, and he plays king to h8. I think it's important to maintain pressure on this bishop, but he tries to tuck his king away into the corner, which is certainly not the correct idea here. So I go knight to f5, jumping into this very active square. So if we take stock of material here, I'm not down any material here. I'm up a pawn, and I've got the superior pieces in the safer king. So I think black is going to be in quite a bit of trouble here. So he tries to play bishop takes d3 here. So after this capture, material is equal. However, I've got too much pressure surrounding his king. So after knight takes h6, I'm offering up another exchange here, simply to just get at his king with my superior pieces. So he plays bishop takes f1, I play rook takes f1, and taking stock of material here, I'm only down an exchange. An exchange for a pawn. At that, I have 6 pawns, he has 5 pawns, but the important thing to note here is the superior piece play. So my pieces are very, very well placed in front of his king, and his rooks are not very coordinated. This knight is not doing a whole lot, and it's very clear who's better in this position. So he goes knight to h7. There's not really a great way to stop knight f7 check, which is going to result in me getting my exchange back anyway, since he'll have to play rook takes f7. So he goes knight to h7, which is an attempt to kind of just put some pieces in front of his king and try and defend, but I play knight f7 check, and after rook takes f7, rook takes f7, my pieces are simply too active here, and he's in big trouble. You can see the engine says I'm completely winning here. So he tries knight f8 here, and the final touch here is playing queen to g4. Queen f3 also works because it's the same idea, but queen to g4, idea being if you take this knight, queen h5 followed by queen h7 is going to be mate. As we see in the game, he plays knight takes g6, and after queen h5, king to g8, and queen h7, that's going to be checkmate. So I thought this was a pretty interesting game. Several good moves, a pretty nice attack out of the Italian game. So if you like the Italian game, check this game out. And that's going to be all for this video, but I'll see you guys next time.